What's going on, guys? And welcome to the Underdog's Edge. This is season 3, episode number 1. And man, we took a little bit of a break from season number 2. Now we're here in season number 3, and I'm excited to be joining you guys. And I'm hoping that this season brings a lot of value, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, a lot of inspiration, a lot of motivation, and just kind of giving you that push to move forward on your path as an entrepreneur, a salesperson, a mover, a shaker, a leader out in the community, a leader out in the world. This podcast is designed for the movers and the shakers. And I'm excited to be back. So season number 3, episode number 1. And this is going to be titled The Power of Choice. And man, how important is this topic today, especially in the world that we live in now with so many different things going on. So I'm gonna get into this episode here. And I'm going to preface before I get into this episode that this is not a political episode. Matter of fact, on this podcast, I'm not going to give you a political viewpoint. I'm not going to come from any political or religious place. This podcast is designed for entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, movers, shakers, salespeople. This podcast is designed for this, but I'm going to bring up a topic that is could be viewed as political, and I'll kind of explain. Now, right now in the world, especially here in the U.S., we're dealing with, the idea of should you be vaccinated? Should you get the vaccination? Should you not get the vaccination? What's the right decision? What's the right choice? Some people feel that, you should get the vaccination, that you must be forced to get the vaccination, that if you don't get the vaccination, you're irresponsible, that you're going to hurt other people, that you're being selfish. Some people think that you should not get the vaccination, that if you get the vaccination, that it's crazy and God knows what you're putting in your body. And I don't want to put anything in my body. My immune system is strong enough. Okay. So those are two different viewpoints. And that's kind of the narrative that's happening in this country with those two different viewpoints. Now, I want to get into this topic because today's title is The Power of Choice, and why choice is so powerful, why choice is so important. And we must fight for the power of choice. Doesn't matter which side of the street you're on. Choice is the medium that must be protected in our country, in our world, and as us as individuals. So I'm going to get into this here, and we're going to kind of go into. So the definition of choice is the act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. So choice, the act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. So that is the definition of a choice. So when someone has two or more possibilities, if you're able to act from a place of choice, you can choose which decision is going to be in your best interest as a human, as an individual, okay, as a free citizen of this country. And then I want to go over the definition of freedom. Freedom, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. One more time. So freedom, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So basically, freedom is the ability to act, speak, think, and do as one chooses without hindrance or restraint. That's the definition of freedom. Okay, so now we're going to get into we're going to use the example of the vaccination. We're going to go, and I'm going to tie this into our topic of the power of choice. So right now in our country, like I said, we have two polarizing ideas of the vaccination, right? And they're very extreme, right? Now you also, not all people are extreme. There are some people that are not extreme, right? But I'm kind of speaking on the polarities, so that way we can kind of get an idea over this topic today. So right now there's a vaccine mandate for federal workers, okay, and I'm going to read this off of WebMD. That says the government or other authorities can't physically force you to get vaccinated. A vaccine mandate just means that if you don't, businesses, schools, and others can legally stop you from entering the building and using their services. Okay. And now going into the federal mandate, President Joe Biden recently required all employers with 100 or more employees to make sure that their workers receive the vaccine or they have a COVID test weekly. Okay, and the Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration continues to work on a rule to enforce this. OSHA will also enforce a rule that requires these companies to provide paid time off for time it takes workers to get the vaccine. Okay, so they're definitely, this vaccine mandate is leaning towards kind of forcing people to take a vaccine. And so I think the issue here in this whole situation is should you take the vaccine or should someone not take the vaccine? I will give you my personal opinion on this. My personal opinion is I believe in the power of choice. I believe that the individual knows what's best for them to decide if they want to take a vaccine or not. It is not my place to tell someone what they should be putting in their body. At that point, if it is my place or it's the government's place to tell somebody what they should put and inject in their body, then at that point, we move the goalposts a little bit further. We expand the boundary of individual rights and freedom. And at that point, where does it stop? For example, we don't tell people what to eat, how to eat. We don't tell people, to not consume unhealthy drugs and things. Now, there are laws for that, but what people do behind closed doors and what they do, no one's coming to your home and watching what you ingest in your body or making you do something. No one is coming up to someone and asking them, are you HIV positive? Do you have, tuberculosis, whatever it may be. I know that sounds extreme, but no one is doing that. But for this, it is. And there's a lot of political reasons, I believe, for this. I believe in the power of choice. The power of choice, the being able to decide. The power should lie in the individual. The power should lie in the person to be able to make a decision on, is this good for me and my family? Is me taking a vaccine or me not taking a vaccine? Does this or does it not align with my personal values, my family values, whatever it may be? Is this the right decision? That is what's important in this situation. I don't think the narrative or the conversations need to be, you should take a vaccine, or no, you should not take the vaccine, or no, if you take the vaccine, you're dumb, or if you don't take the vaccine, you're irresponsible. I think the narrative should be, we individuals get to choose how they decide on the vaccine themselves. The narrative needs to be revolved and surrounded by the power of choice, not the polarities of ideas. That is where things get dangerous in this society, is when we have extreme ideas, extreme ideologies, extreme perspectives. Everything should be surrounded by the power of choice and based upon the foundation of freedom, which freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. We have to get back to this core value as a country. This country, the foundation is built on freedom. Choice is a byproduct of that freedom. Choice is connected to freedom. Freedom is the foundation. Choice is the act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. Choice, the power of choice. Guys, choice is such a powerful thing in our lives. Every single day we make choices. And if you were born and you were raised in this wonderful country, United States of America, we have the power of choice. That is why this country is looked upon by people outside of it, of, man, I got to get to the promised land. I got to get to this country, because in this country, I have choices as an individual on how I want to live and lead my life. If we start restricting the power of choice for the individual to make a decision with their own, their own mind and their own education and their own information that they've retained for themselves and what aligns with their personal values, then we're getting away from what this country is built on. Okay, the power of choice, guys. Choice is honestly one of the greatest things that you have as an individual, as a human being on this planet. Choice is such a powerful tool, a powerful thing that we have. It's a right that was given to us by our Creator. It was a right that was given to us by God. It says, listen, I create humanity with the ability to have free will, to be able to decide and choose what they should do and how they should live and how they should lead their lives. That is the beautiful thing about this country. And we cannot get away from that. This has nothing to do with taking a vaccine or not taking a vaccine. It has everything to do with the power of choice and respecting people's choices. We may not agree. I don't agree with a lot of people's choices. I think I probably disagree with a lot. But at the end of the day, it's not my life. It's not my place to butt into someone's life and say, no, you're doing this wrong. This is how you should do it. I think you should do this. It's not my place. And I don't want anybody doing that to me because we have the power of choice. We're all individuals. You have to live and have the consequences of the choices you make. But that's the beautiful thing about life. You have the power to choose and decide, and you get to have the consequences of those choices, which God willing, they're good consequences, they're positive consequences, but sometimes they're not. But you still have that power of choice, and we cannot get rid of that. We cannot get rid of that. The narrative of left versus right, the narrative of take the vaccine or don't take the vaccine, that is it's confusing people, and it's getting us away from the real issue. The real issue is the power of choice and protecting that power, protecting that ability for us as individuals to choose. Now, guys, how does this tie into this podcast of the Underdog's Edge of being an entrepreneur, being a leader, being a salesperson, being a marketer, being a community leader, being a business owner, whatever it is? How does this tie into that? Guys, listen, the power of choice in your day-to-day lives is everything. Every single day we get to choose how we live our life. Every single day we get to choose who we associate with. Every single day we get to choose what we put into our mind. Every single day we get to choose what we say, how we say it, who we interact with, how we interact with them. Every day we get to choose who do we want to be in this world. Every day we get to choose what am I going to focus on. Every day we get to choose what am I going to take action on the day. Every day we get to choose how am I going to show up in my relationships, in my world, in my business place, in my community, with my family. Every day we get to choose. If we forget that we have the power of choice, we will walk through this life, we will walk through this world on autopilot. Most people in this world are running off of programs, old beliefs and patterns and habits that don't serve them anymore. We have lost clarity of the power of choice because, guys, there's so much confusion and so much noise out in the world. But in this world, we have so much power as individuals. Every single person with a healthy state of mind that's not debilitated, that is able to choose, has so much power. Every single person, every individual in this country, every individual in this world, if they're not being restrained or hindered, has a wonderful, wonderful power available to him called the power of choice. Every single person is powerful. Every single person was given this free will from God that we have. It is the power of choice. So, guys, how does this tie in? It ties in because we need to start looking at our day-to-day lives, our day-to-day mode of operations, and start saying, listen, where am I not choosing in my life? Where am I not making choices? Where am I leaving everything to default? Where am I leaving everything to old things that I grew up with that don't serve me no more? How can I use and activate the power of choice in my life? What can I do to activate this power as an individual? It doesn't have to be about the vaccine. I think that's actually a pretty easy thing to choose on, right? But getting down to your day-to-day life and your day-to-day business, whenever you're running your business, how do you choose the things that you activate? How do you choose which type of customers you want to call on? How do you choose which type of people to bring on your team? How do you choose how do you want to show up for your team and for the people that are helping you build your company? That's powerful. If you're a leader at a church, making that day-to-day choice, you have to make it. If you're it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're a salesperson, how you choose to bring your energy to your clients and your customers, that's a very daily practical thing. If you're dealing with your family and you're showing up and you're to a family dinner or to a family whatever, or just talking with your loved ones every single day, We have the power of choice to be able to choose how we show up for these people, how we show up for ourselves, how we show up for the things that matter. It's the power of choice, guys. It's the act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. In this life, we have so many possibilities. But the basic two possibilities in this life are we can live with intention and with clarity, or we can live on accident and old things and byproducts of beliefs and patterns and habits that were maybe given to us by the world. We don't know. We can live consciously or we can live unconsciously. I'm challenging you today, if you're listening to this podcast, season 3, episode number 1, to activate your power of choice. To activate your power of choice, because you have the power to choose. You have the power to choose. So I'm challenging you today to look at areas in your life where you are not actively choosing and you are just running on autopilot. You don't have to do this for every single area, but I'm challenging you to choose one. I'm challenging you to look at one area of your life that you're running on autopilot, and I'm challenging you to activate that place of your life and choose how you want to show up, choose how you want to live, choose how you want to act and think and speak in this area, and take your power back, take your control back, take your right as a human being back, and do not let your life run on autopilot. The power of choice. This is less about what you choose, and it's more about you just activating the power of choice. There's always going to be bad decisions. There's always going to be bad choices. But if you do things to the very best of your ability, with intentionality and clarity and focus, you most likely will make more correct and aligned choices that align with your personal values than you will making it on the negative side. Bad choices do happen. Oftentimes those bad choices, they happen because we're running on autopilot, because we don't actually have clarity in this place in our lives. So guys, this is season number 3, episode number 1. And I wanted to go over this topic today, the power of choice, because it's such a powerful right that we have as humans, as individuals in this world. It's such a wonderful thing that we have. It's something that God has given us directly, to be able to have free will and to be able to make choices in our lives that align with our heart and our values, and to align with what is right for our life path. Guys, we all have the power of choice. And I'm challenging you today to look at one area in your life that you're running on autopilot and to make a conscious decision and a choice. Look at your different routes, look at your different possibilities, look at which areas you can move and shift and direct yourself, and make a decision, make a choice, and do it consciously with clarity, and do it with the firmness of commitment, and move forward after that. All right, guys, if you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. This is season number 3, episode number 1. There's going to be 9 episodes to this season, and I'm going to be pushing this out every single week moving forward. And I'm excited, guys. I'm excited to do this. I'm going to do my best to start getting some interviews and getting some different people to show up on the podcast to give a different perspective and to give a different viewpoint on business, leadership, entrepreneurship, and sales, and just personal growth and development. Guys, this is a podcast for personal growth and development, to help you elevate yourself, to help you become the best version of yourself. And guys, when I do this podcast, it helps me grow. It helps me have more clarity. I'm oftentimes, when I'm doing these episodes, these are things that are close to my heart. These are topics that are very important to me. And you should listen to what I am saying, because it's relevant for myself. And oftentimes it's because I'm actually going through this myself currently. And that is how I come up with some of these topics, because it's directly connected and directly influences how you show up in your life and your day-to-day world. So guys, please like, share, subscribe, show me some love. If there's anything that you want to specifically go over in the future, please reach out to me directly and shoot me a potential topic and see if it might be a good topic for this show, that's relevant for the show. Otherwise, go out there, have a phenomenal week, crush your week, and make the power of choice. Take your power and use it and activate it. Go out there and crush it. Let's go.